Alfred, what is the National Party's plan for Pacific peoples?
So our plan is to give them the greatest opportunity that's possible in education, in business, in employment, and in health. We know that there are NCDs, there are health issues and challenges that we have, but what we do differently is that we work with them. So we make sure that more Pacific providers are actually working with our communities. When it comes to education, we want to make sure that they achieve at NCA level 2 and actually go into, whether it be tertiary studies, whether it be trades or whether it be in university. Education has always been the key for a lot of our people as well. But the other one that's also important is that we want to aspire for them to also to own their own businesses so that they too can be able to be like a number of other Kiwis. That we have over 600,000 businesses, but we only make up 1.2%. I don't believe that's good enough, and I think actually we deserve to be in that marketplace as well. So those things are really important. That's what we do. And for both Agnes and I, we're not just here to make up the numbers, to tick a box of diversity. Actually, our voice and our view and our values are important at the table of decision making for the National Party.
There's been a lot of talk about the disruption to the economy caused by COVID-19. So what's National's plan for the economic recovery, and how do Pacific peoples fit into that?
So what's important for us is that we've always been about, when it comes to the economy, investment. So how do we invest? First things that we do is in infrastructure. So there's a huge amount of announcements that we've made around not only roading, but also some of the infrastructures around waterworks and waterways, things that are really important to a country and to a city. And what does that create? That creates more employment opportunities as well, more businesses, subcontracting that can go out there. There's a huge number of our Pasifika people that are in the trades already, both in construction and also in civil construction as well. Those things are really important. So for us, we invest in those areas that are really important. The other one is around trade. We're really important that we know that as a small Pacific nation, even New Zealand, we need to trade out. We were the ones that put together the TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, also to the PACER Plus, which was with all the Pacific nations as well. We're going into a post-COVID world where we're now got to rethink about what it is that we do. So we can still trade without actually people travelling to different countries. So how do we get more of our Pacifica people, whether it be in manufacturing, whether it be in growing? We've got a huge demand, for instance, in the agriculture and horticulture industry as well. We want to encourage more of our Pacifica people to enter into those businesses.
What would you like people to consider in the upcoming referendum on cannabis?
So I think what's really important when it comes to the recreational referendum on cannabis is that we already have medicinal cannabis. And so therefore this referendum is not about actually helping people to medicate when they're in pain. This referendum basically is to make it legal so that anyone in anywhere can basically grow it like a tomato plant in your backyard and smoke it anywhere in any place. And what that does is that sends to us a wrong message to our communities, and especially our Pacifica community. Law enforcement rehabilitation will tell us it's a gateway drug. At the moment, we've got laws that are in place to safeguard our people. For our Pacifica young people, I want to send a clear message to them that the evidence is really clear. The science says that actually smoking marijuana does a huge amount of damage to our thinking and to your brain. And so therefore we do not believe that this referendum will be good for our communities or our country, and also too for our Pacifica people.
And what would you say to the argument which is that if people are abusing cannabis and suffering from health impacts, that it's better to regulate so it can expose that and people can get the help that they need?
Well, that help is already there. What this is not about providing more support around counselling, around support around rehabilitation. This is actually about recreational referendum. That means that you can smoke it anytime, you can grow your own. That's a different story. So I don't believe that that point is actually the right argument that they're making. So if it is, that there's a health condition, if there's an addiction that people have, then why are we actually putting more services and more support in that way to be able to help them and to counsel them? Legalising recreational marijuana is not the answer to that issue.
What would you like people to consider in the upcoming referendum on euthanasia?
Well, the end of life choice bill to us goes against all the values that we are as Pacifica people. When I was out there having the public meetings, whether it be in Auckland or down here in Wellington, our community said this: our Pacifica culture is a culture of care. We know what it is when our people are sick and when they're dying. We wrap around them. We care for them, we love them. We help them go through the pain and the suffering that they're going through. and also the loneliness. And so what I would like to say is this: when we've got 39,000 submissions that were made, the largest in 165 years of Parliament, 90.6% oppose this. 1,700 doctors oppose this, and they oppose it on one key principle: it is unsafe. So therefore, if the medical practitioners, if the majority of New Zealand is saying this is unsafe, then I would encourage people to this: don't vote for this bill, because what that will do, it will change the values of how we see those who are sick and those who are elderly. It will also too go against the very thing that our health practitioners said, that this is unsafe for our communities.
What is the political achievement that you're most proud of?
I think one of the things that I'm most proud of is actually the work that we did on the World War I soldiers of Cook Islands in New Zealand. And there were 500, and they weren't really recognised or acknowledged. So to be part of that story, so that our Pasifika actually could have a place to say that actually, we've got a price to citizenship as well. Our Pasifika men, our Cook Islands, and also 147 Niuean, they went to war in World War I. They sacrificed their homes, their families. They went to foreign places, and despite that, they still fought for king and country. And so I believe that one of the greatest achievements that I feel very proud of is to be able to be part of telling our story. So there are people, they cried. They realised that actually this is who we are. This is what we've done that makes a difference. And so we can have a pride of place. And there's, in the Wellington National War Memorial Park, we've got now a place, we've got now a monument, a sculpture that basically celebrates and commemorates the fact of what we contributed to this country. So that's one of the things I'm proud of. The other thing, I was proud to bring my grandson here, Carlos, when he was 6 years old this year. And he came in and he got to see Papa's place where he worked, where his seat is in Parliament, where his offices, walked around old Parliament as well. And I felt that as a grandfather and as a father, that that's the legacy that I feel that I can leave behind. That one day he'll tell his children and say, I went one day to Parliament because my Papa was there. He was a member of Parliament that represented our community as well as our country.
Speaking of legacy, politics is a very cutthroat game, and when your time is up, whenever that is, how would you like to be remembered?
I'd like to remember that I was a person of integrity, that I said what I meant and I meant what I said. But also integrity means that actually when you've made a mistake, that you're honest enough to own up to it and apologise and ask for forgiveness. I'd like to feel that actually I provided a pathway for the future of our Pasifika people and other people in our country, so that they too could say, look, he opened the door, he went through, here's a window of opportunity too. That they too could dream in places, again, as my grandmother said, that we are the navigators of the Pacific, the biggest ocean in the world. That our vision and our aspiration is not here, but here. And that's really the legacy that I feel that I'd like to leave behind.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Cool. Thank you.